Hello everyone, welcome to Meta Minds episode 7, and today we have Lachlan, who is a performance coach focusing on men's mental, physical and emotional health. He also recently started a new project called The Man That Can, and I think that's a really good place to start. Would you be able to tell us a little bit more about this new project?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for the introduction. So The Man That Can came about for me. I felt, I work with so many men, I speak to so many men every single day who have challenges, physically, mentally, emotionally, and there was never, I don't know if there is one, please reach out, a place for men to come and get advice and just openly talk about what they're going through. So I just wanted to be able to break that belief that men thought they were, a certain person, because that's what I thought, 5 years ago before I started personal development. Mm-hmm. I thought I was a guy who cheated on women, drank a lot of beer, took a lot of drugs, and lied. Like, that's who I thought I was, because everyone I was hanging around was the same. So they sort of validated what I was doing. So I wanted to create a space where all people, CEOs, doesn't matter, all walks of life can come along and, openly speak about what they're going through and how they've overcome certain things. So collectively as a group, we're helping men show that they can get through. So I really should have changed it to The Man That Can. No, the man that, I don't even know.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like The Man That Can.
Yeah. So just show that they can do stuff that, they're not really.
It's interesting because society can put you into a box as a man or a girl, but it's like, the boys, we go out and we drink beers and we talk to girls and that's what you do because you're a man, but it's like, I guess it's good to have a bit of a space to kind of say, hey, you can be whatever it is and whoever it is that you want. You don't have to be this thing that whatever it is puts you into that box.
Yeah, and almost give because it's like you said, we're drinking beer, we're talking about women, degrading women, or whatever it is, what it was at the time, and all the boys are high-fiving you, and the next morning you laugh about it. But it's like, there's not a space, or I haven't been involved in a space where men are doing the same for being like, oh, you read a book, awesome, or you did this, you did that. It's like stuff that's actually helping you improve.
Oh, for sure.
We want to, create, and that's what you guys are doing as well, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is extremely important, I think, especially for like in this day and age when a lot of the information isn't really that good information that kind of goes around and that we like take in every day. So it's like, kind of rewarding and helping other people like grow through doing actually important things like reading books and developing themselves, like being healthy and that kind of thing. It's good to have more avenues like that, I suppose.
Just having open conversations as well, because everyone's like some of the stuff we were speaking about at an event last night was stuff that I never even thought about. There was one guy, he was he's high up in Apple and he's I don't actually know how old he would be. I'd say maybe 40s. And he was saying one of the hardest things he's struggling with is just catching up with a mate. He's like, and like any mate, he's like, you have mates, you have good mates, but there comes a point in your life, he's like, I want to just go for a coffee and see how you are. But it's like everyone's too busy. We have to do everything over your phone. I was sitting there listening to him. That's me. Like, I do that to my mates because I'm like, I'm too busy working on this, too busy working on that. Like, I'll catch up if there's intent. But it's like the intent sometimes with your good mates should be just how you doing. How often do you call a mate up and just say, how you going? Yeah. So I'm so guilty of not doing that. And last night when I heard that, like, for me, I took so much away from that.
It's interesting, like in this day and age, because we are such busy people. Like, I have a 40-hour work week or more often, and then you have a family, and then friends, and maybe kids, and a mortgage, and all this kind of thing. You rarely do get time to do that, but it's actually almost more important for the health of the rest of the other stuff to have a bit of just like
genuine connection,
chilling out and hanging out, because that that adds balance, and you can like helps everything.
100%. I mean, I think it's almost like meditation. Do you guys meditate?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Meditation to me is, every time I do it, I feel incredible. And I get so much back from it, but at the same time, there's days where even 10 minutes, I'm like, don't really have time for that. Like, I'm probably going to skip that today. And then I go through the rest of the day frustrated.
Frustrated.
Frustrated. Made it a word. Dude, like, all over the shop. And if I'd just taken that 10 minutes to meditate, it would have given me so much back. So I think
but your mind is like, no, I don't have time for that. That's the one thing you should be focusing on if you don't have time.
But no, that's definitely it, man. Like, I've noticed if I have a really nice chat with a friend and I'm just in the moment, we're not doing any sort of agenda or doing anything, I feel recharged. Having those really nice conversations. It means incredible. The world. It really does.
We take it for granted. And to be fair, like, a lot of guys don't know how to do that, to have that conversation. So it's like, we at least have the self-awareness or can have those conversations to get that back. But a lot of men might sit here right now or at the pub and be like, who are you with this week? Which girl?
Yeah, that's it,
Yeah.
man.
Should we have a shot?
Yeah,
And then you're just like sitting there watching the sport or whatever it is.
that's it.
It's just that cycle, but deep down you've got stuff you want to express.
Mm-hmm.
And don't even understand that they have, they just feel this emptiness or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't actually know how to even break out of that, because again, the social circle is just like reinforcing these values that we're kind of already.
That's it. And the stigma behind it, and it's so taboo to talk about it. And even like maybe their development, like maybe their parents, maybe their dad or whoever their male figure was, never spoke to them. They never gave them any sort of like insight into emotions and feelings.
Yeah.
Which
And
needs to change.
You think about, and I was thinking about this when I was driving over. We never, I didn't, I don't know about you guys, but never saw your parents suffering. Like they're really good at hiding when they got struggles. I don't know whether that's, we do take so much away from our parents. So when I never saw them struggling, when I had challenges, I was like, oh, my dad doesn't struggle. So like, I just got to get on with it. So I felt like that was reinforced from such a young age. And this can be something that our generation sort of does when we become parents or whatever, is like actually let our children know what we're going through at certain times, because then they look up to you and they go, well, mum's struggling, dad's struggling, like this stuff's actually happening. This is life. We can all work together through all of it, and then allows children or young people like us to understand that this stuff's happening. We can already start creating awareness around how to get through that when it happens to us at whatever point.
Yeah. And hopefully change potentially the next generation so that it isn't as taboo. So that men can talk about their feelings without feeling like it's so wrong. Because it seems like I've definitely got friends that just don't talk about their feelings or emotions because they think it's wrong. Like it's a weakness. It's a sign of weakness to talk about themselves or their emotions. Yeah. So
it's that standard response that you would say to someone, how are you? Good?
Yeah.
Everyone says it. You're like, how many goods are there today?
Yeah, exactly.
Surely something's happening.
Yeah, we were talking about this on a previous podcast where like, you walk into a cafe or whatever and you just have this totally different like persona to every other customer. We're like, I'm fantastic, how are you? And they go caught off guard, like, what's going on? Like, who are you?
Are you on drugs?
Yeah. What are you taking? Where do I get some? Like,
it literally shocks people. Hey,
it does, yeah.
It's like I try to walk down the street, I'll high five, just do random stuff, and they're just like,
is that guy alright?
What?
Yeah. But it changes their whole day almost.
It really does.
Like, wow, there's that one person that was really happy. I wonder if I can be like that. Just get some questioning and thinking about that kind of thing,
Well, it's almost like when you see someone doing something so outrageous, even dancing just randomly, like I sit there and think it's the funniest thing ever, and then I'm like, at least they're having a good time. I'm standing here with no smile on my face, but like and then this person's just having the best time, but then it slowly wears off on you. And it's like what's that film clip where, have you seen that one at the festival where that person's dancing crazy by themselves and then slowly another dude comes and then the whole crowd comes?
Oh,
have you
really?
seen it?
No, I think I have seen it. Yeah.
It's like the whole pack mentality, but because the pack for most people, if you walk around the city, is everyone's glued to their phone or not smiling or they're unhappy. It's like, that's the way I should be. I've got to be looking serious and can't have a laugh or anything like that. And then you see this one random person having the best time ever and you're like, something's wrong with them.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Like, your ego gets in the way and pushes them down and goes, oh, that's a weird thing that they're doing. I don't want to be doing that thing because they're the only person doing it. That's weird. And you section it off and you go back to your thing. But never in that process do you like actually self-aware enough and be like, wait, that person's really enjoying themselves. What am I doing?
You never check in and go, I'm actually not feeling good right now. I'm miserable. Let's go dance. On that note, I hate dancing. Like, it's my thing. I feel so uncomfortable. Like, I'll do anything else, but dancing's not my jam.
Well, next podcast, we'll get you one. We'll make sure to try.
Because my missus will listen to this. She'll be like, "You said you like dancing. You don't.
You don't at all. Ever. And she just comments on it like, lie to everyone.
But it's interesting on that problem thing as well, because it's like even, like talking boys to boys or boy to girl, like whether it's your partner or this or that, it's like, almost like people don't want to hear about the problems. Like you mentioned the word taboo, but I think it's like, you don't really want to, if someone's like, actually, I'm having a really bad time right now. Like, do you have time to chat about it? You kind of like, ooh, awkward. Like you want to tap out. You don't want to because you don't know how to deal with that situation because we're never taught anything to do with that, So,
you go.
You go.
Well, what I was going to say is basically, I agree with that. And that's something I felt before I kind of got into counseling, into mental health. But the one thing I really noticed is at the end of the day, all they really need most of the time is someone to listen to them and actually like, maybe not validate them, but if they're saying something, like even challenging them on what they're thinking to give them another thought process. Sometimes that's all someone really needs, just someone to be there and hold the space as such.
Yeah. But I suppose
it is hard.
If we had a more like a community and like a society that was a bit more, you know, we wouldn't need as many like counselors and mental health, like, you know, workers if we just had a bit more of a community where it's like, it's okay to talk about your feelings and you should listen to someone when they talk about that. Cause you know, what is the statistic on male suicide? It's like 1 in 4 or something now. Like it's just ridiculous. And I think Australia in particular is very high for male suicide. And again, it's not something you hear about. It's just this box that gets pushed under the table or whatever. It's like, but it's happening, it's real, and it's global, and there's clearly reasons why people are doing it.
They're not looking at that root cause.
No.
Of the...
I mean, you've probably gone through that in your counselling, but I think a lot of the stuff when I have breakthroughs with clients or just in conversations, it's coming back to connection. It's like people, I often have a lot of females saying, how do I get my partner to do this or husband? I'm like, you can't force anyone to do anything, but what you can do is learn to communicate better. Because I see a lot of even relationships, and this is a bit off topic, but like so many relationships are poor, they're argumentative because they never establish that communication line and they don't understand each other's values or how they like to communicate to each other. So, you know, I communicate in a certain way, which is pretty to the point. So people think I'm blunt and rude, but then people who communicate the same way go, awesome, he didn't waste my time. Yeah. So people don't ever understand that we're all brought up in different ways. So, you know, even communication to me is the pillar. Like, and it once again goes back to how you communicate with yourself. Like, we never communicate with ourselves. Like, I never communicated with myself. I was just like, you're a piece of shit. You've done this again. That's what you do. You go talk to the boys about it, and next week you'll probably do the same thing. It's fine. But now I like to check in with myself and be like, well, I've got a like checklist for various things like health, sleep, movement, how I feel, valued, purpose, all that sort of stuff. I'll check in on that. If something's not feeling good with me, I can sort of check in which area it's a bit out. And obviously that's going to be different for everyone depending on what they value or they feel they need in their life. But I feel that's given me, it helps me get out of slumps because then I can go, right, well, sleep's poor. What do I need to learn about that? Why am I sleeping poorly? Is it because I'm not exercising? Is it because I'm eating poorly? Is it because I'm stressed, anxious? What is it? And then you can sort of start getting to the deeper problem because all that stuff's to me it's superficial. It's like there's a reason deep down why we want to exercise, why we want to feel valued, why we want to feel fulfilled, why we want job satisfaction. But we never take the time to go there. It's too much.
That's it.
Well, and this stuff's not really taught to us either.
Yeah,
it's like, these are quite basic things that if you just measured them, you could really easily have a huge insight into your life, you know. But it's just not something that everyone like would think about because we're not taught it in school. It's like, hey, just so you know, to have a great life, you kind of do need to like make sure that these things are. No one ever said that to me.
Not once.
Super handy.
Grade 12 done. Enjoy it.
Go and get a job now.
Hold on, what?
What?
Make sure to eat Macca's every day, and you know, like it's cheap or whatever.
So bad, hey.
Yeah, and get home from school and just do more homework and don't enjoy time with your family. Like,
And connection is absolutely huge. And I said it on a previous podcast as well. There's a few people that are really big on like in the addiction space. And what one of them says is that the opposite of addiction is connection. So it's like, it doesn't even have to be addiction, but it's like, you know, just any kind of negative behavior. Chances are that can be mitigated if you just like actually connect with people.
Yeah.
And again, like phones is a way that we like, you know, it's like this sort of false connection where you're like, oh yeah, I have a lot of friends, I'm talking to a lot of people, but it's not real. Like when you actually have a real conversation with someone and you go away feeling energized, as we said before, it's like, you're like, that's what it's supposed to feel like.
Exactly right. Yeah.
But we're so used to this, and you know, I can catch myself doing it every time as well. And being like, I'm talking to a lot of people, having a good day, but why do I feel like shit? You know, so
that's it, man. It's so true. You walk away just not actually feeling connected. You're just like, I still feel lonely. Like when that guy was saying that thing last night, I was like, I've got like 4 really good friends, like my best mates, and I will always put them off to work a bit more or to facilitate another conversation. I'm like, that's so poor on my behalf. Like, because they're your best mates, you get to sit around and do this, and whether it's chatting like we are right now or chatting about something else that's meaningful, you walk away feeling...
Or something that's not meaningful at all.
Yeah, but just having that connected feeling,
actual real human connection.
You don't get that through the screen. Like,
not at all, man.
It's like watching a travel video as opposed to going traveling. It's like 2 completely different experiences.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
That's a good one.
Just came up with that then.
There you go.
Yes.
Please liked it.
So obviously you're like, dealing with men's mental health, and obviously that's because you're a male yourself. But is there a particular reason why you think like male mental health is important and why it's, I mean, we have kind of touched on some of the points, but it's like why it's not talked about specifically in males. Like, why do you think that's important?
I think I always go from my own experience, and like I think about the opportunities I let go, because I was playing rugby in France and I left that, and I've had some good relationships that I've messed up purely because I didn't know how to speak or express myself. So I do that in ways that would always ruin things, right? Like whether it was cheating, lying, being aggressive, the list goes on. And I see it more and more every day with men. It's like females are incredible at communicating, right? They also bitch a lot as well, and men do that as well. So I'm not just saying that, but men struggle. And I think it was going back to like, I always saw my dad as like a tough man who never spoke. So I adopted that, and it's like, I've always learned to just deal with it. And my brothers had, mental health issues, dad. And when I had my own, I was like, fuck, I've always been on these guys because, am I allowed to swear, by the way?
Yeah, do it if you want.
I've always been on these guys. Like when my brother was going through stuff, I was like, come on, mate, like harden the fuck up. Like, and then when I was going through my own thing, I was like, oh, now I'm backtracking. So I didn't, ask for help till I was 23. So, I get to see like how my dad's lived his life, and it's my main motivator, because I don't want to see more men, more people going through life like that, when we all have the ability to live incredible lives, even if it's, it's not driven by money or whatever it is. It's just like being connected, being good parents, being good mates. And we don't do that because to me, it doesn't come, we lack connection. We lack self-awareness. We don't learn from our mistakes. We just think, right, well, I did that. Let's do that again next week. And we don't put spend that time reflecting. And at the end of the day, most of us aren't doing or being who we want to be, because we're trying to just follow that tribe, and it's not working. So to me, my goal is to change that massively. And there's some incredible, like you guys are doing incredible things. There's more and more men starting to do incredible things in that space. And just seeing that is going to be like this massive ripple effect. I feel that's going to change. I still think there's going to be, men who are outliers and who, do what they do because of the environment they're ingrained in. But if we can start creating subcultures where men can be who they want to be, it's like, look at artists, like painters, like they have their subculture. Footy players have their subculture. It's like we need to now just start creating a subculture for men to be able to be who they want to be, feel vulnerable, feel connected, and not worry about any of that other materialistic shit that to me it doesn't mean a thing. You know what I mean? So,
and that's the other thing you talk about, like your dream life, and a lot of like the ideal dream life in this society is like, oh, you want to be a millionaire and you want to have a super hot girlfriend, you want to have a huge house and a Ferrari and this and that. But it's like, when you take it back to what you just said, like those values, it's like, actually, if you just put all that aside for a second and realize like you can have such an amazing, fulfilling life on such little, in a superficial world where it's conditioned to want things and money and that kind of thing. But actually, you can have possibly a more fulfilling life than a lot of million and billionaires by just having like great friends and all these kinds of basic things that again aren't really addressed, especially in our culture.
Because we can't control that. Like we all age, so even if you're good looking, at one point you're not going to be good looking. You're going to be old, wrinkly. Your money.
Speak for yourself, man.
We found the secret serum. But it's like, and finances go in waves. But like at the end of the day, it all comes down to relationships. Like. When you get more money, it's like you don't know who to trust, right? The more success you have, once again, you don't know who's using you or who's not. So if you just stick to the base stuff, like obviously, if you want all those things, that's fine and it can enhance your life 100%. But I see like my partner, she's in the music industry, and you see all these successful people, but when you chat to them, they're so insecure, they're struggling, and you're just like, you've got it. To me, you've got it wrong. To them, it might be, but it's like you see all these people pretending to be someone they're not. And I can't imagine, like, I remember when I was doing all the stuff I was doing years ago, I was pretending to be someone I wasn't. Like, I was pretending to be this tough footy jock when that wasn't who I was. But I was showing up every single day doing that, and it was fucking miserable. Obviously, there were times which were fun, but more often than not, I was struggling. And I know, like, and you guys would know this as well from all the guys that you speak to, once you start having, peel back the layers and they start opening up, you're hurting just like I was. And we got to change that. And it's like, I feel responsible to do that. I think you guys feel the same. It's like one person at a time. If we can just do that, the ripple effect, because the more men, it's not about being awesome at coaching or anything like that. It's just being able to facilitate, like you were saying before, those conversations, because then a lad's going to walk away and go, that was awesome. I actually got to talk about this, this, and this. Now I'm actually like, wonder why I was talking about that. Let's go research or read up or Google or, and that may start that whole, changing process for them.
What do you think helped you recognize that you needed to change when you were in that kind of mindset and you felt, did you think about, your own journey much?
How did you find the self-awareness?
Yeah, like what happened?
Yeah, for me it was sort of forced. It's two things. So I had heaps of moments where I'd like cheated on partner. There was one time where I woke up in a park and I was like, shit. And I didn't go back to my girlfriend at the time's place. I went back to another girl's place. And that to me was like, righto, something needs to change. Then it was probably a month after that, I got into a big fight, and that was a huge eye-opener for me. And that was basically when I changed everything. And it literally, it felt like it all just had this ripple effect after that. It was like a month after that, a guy gave me the book, The Four Agreements. Gave me that. And that was pretty much the first non-sport related book I'd ever read. It was boring as batshit. I found it really hard to read, but by the end, I had those 4 agreements and I was like, one, I was proud of myself because I read. 2, I'd had all these things to think about and how it sort of fit into my life at the time. And I was like, I can change it. And then that guy who gave me the book was going through the process himself. So I was like, if he's doing it, I'm going to do it better than him. And because I was competitive, I was just like trying to always do a little bit more than he was. And then all of a sudden, I was a completely different person. I'd changed my environment. I'd moved cities. At the time I was taking videos on Facebook Live just to share what I was learning because it was exciting. And I saw myself go from this shy guy who mumbled, and I've still got the very first video I ever did, and it's just like, and to now being able to express myself better, ask better questions, hold conversation. And it was just, I think once I started, it was addiction, like, in a good way.
Yeah.
That's how it's
like
been.
Perpetual growth.
Yeah. It's just like, what can I do next? What can I do next?
That's great.
It's interesting because you talk about like sense of self, and a lot of guys don't really like establish a sense of self, or they identify with particular things like drinking and all this kind of thing. And I mean, you mentioned that you kind of like had this kind of warped sense of self, and I know I did. I'm sure like Dan did as well. Definitely. It's like, I don't even know where I was going with that, to be honest. But it's like, right. I think a lot of guys like they don't even know that it can be different. They don't even know that it just takes one book to read or one podcast to listen to go, it doesn't actually have to be the way that it is. You know what I mean? And so it's great with the internet now that all these things are within a fingertips reach. So you can just go and listen to one podcast or one this, and then you go down this rabbit hole where you're like, oh my God, life can be totally different. So it's amazing that we have these avenues to express these things, I suppose.
Because it's exactly, like we used to see the sports stars, the celebrities, and it was like, oh, they were lucky or whatever it was. But now, like you said, we get to see the journey of so many people go from here to here. So to me, that's inspiring. Yeah. Because you get to see, and obviously, like we were talking about before, there's people who edit stuff and don't show the real truth, but then there's a lot of people who show raw and uncut of the whole process of the highs and the lows of what they're going through. And to me, I'm like, that's awesome because I've been through something similar. Or then if I go through something and then I'm like, actually, this guy on YouTube was showing me this, I'm going to try and respond to it in the same way so we can learn from, other people's mistakes without having to, because our environment generally goes through a fairly similar thing that we do. That's the way it goes. So if you research stuff, you can get through stuff a lot easier.
And I guess if you like surrounding yourself with people who do not want you to be better or do not want themselves to be better,
that's huge.
That environment thing, that's it. You're just going to be pulled down. So
that's human nature as well. Like,
that's it.
Why do you think that is?
Well,
that's a good question. That's a really good question.
They're going to be here for a while.
Because it's like even family and stuff does that, It's like where it's like where they see you, and because I suppose it's like, well, then if they're going to better themselves and be better in all these different things, and all of a sudden they're going to get, I don't know, higher value than I am, and then they're going to forget about me. So it's like, I better pull it, and then it's totally subconscious, It's like, oh, no, don't do that. That's silly or whatever. It's like whether you're trying to start a business or whatever it is, maybe you shouldn't do that. And it's just like this subconscious thing that they're doing, which again, you remember negative comments more than positive comments. So you're like, oh, that person said I shouldn't do it. Maybe I shouldn't do it. But it's like, it's like this crab in the bucket where you like pull them down because they want you to be on the same level. But really, it should be the opposite way around, where it's like, oh, you doing that? That's awesome. Like, and then you're like, you know what? You can do it too. And you're just like helping each other build each other up. Which is like,
and I think changing your environment can allow you the space to grow as well. Because I've had friends who have actually either said to my face or I've overheard them saying that they want to pull me down to their level, or, you know, that they don't like people being successful. They want them to be at the same level as me, which again is like such a big comment.
Yeah.
Like, why would you not want one of your friends to succeed? So to me, it's kind of like you need to be around people who want to foster your growth and who actually want to encourage you and maybe grow with you.
It's funny,
Like,
they want to keep you down, but then if you do get successful, they're like, come back.
Yeah. Hey, dude. Yeah,
man.
remember I was there that whole time when you were going through the journey.
Yeah, I remember.
I never once said,
Yeah, I never
don't do it.
Yeah.
I always knew you were going to make
Yeah,
it.
I was encouraging
No.
you to my friends.
Yeah.
But this comes back to like environment, I suppose. Like, you know, that famous quote, you are the average of the 5 people you most spend time with. So it's like, again, if you're hanging with the boys and always drinking beers and going out, then you're always going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
So if you start reading books and listening to podcasts or whatever, and then start hanging out with people that kind of have different mindsets and do want to better themselves, even if they're just going to the gym or whatever it is, you know, because that can be one of the boys type things. It's like, oh, this person it's like it's a form of bettering themselves. And then all of a sudden you're doing that, and then that can dip into realizing that you can better yourself in other ways.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what. That's why I love putting fitness with the whole personal growth, or even just life, because what you learn through getting stronger, getting fitter, or trying to lose weight or build muscle, it's not just you go to the gym and it happens. There's setbacks, there's stuff you have to learn. Because I think people feel when they make a decision, it's just going to happen. Like, we're that self-entitled now, and we just, you know, because of that, the phone, so I'm pointing out a phone. Because of that, like, we can Google something and all of a sudden it's there. So people sign up for New Year's resolutions at the gym, and they think a month later they're going to be back to their ideal body. They don't realize they've got to address, you know, sleep, recovery, diet, stress, you know,
and connection and
connect all these things, and you're not going to do all of that in a month. That might take you 12 months. It might take you, depending on
10 years,
how
lifelong battle,
how uneducated you are. Because then people say, right, I'll just pay someone to do that for me. That's fine, but when are you going to start taking responsibility? I get that is a form of taking responsibility, but pay them and start learning at the same time so that you don't need them. Because what we were talking about earlier, all this stuff that we're not getting taught at school should be like how to look after yourself, how to know who you are, right, is a basic human right. But we're not getting it.
No.
Because if we did, well, that's a whole different conversation. But, like, you know,
we would live in this utopia.
Yeah,
Imagine what that would look like.
Yeah.
As you said, walking past someone, high-fiving them on the street, like, people look at you like that's weird, but it's like in this utopian world where they
If
just
that was
teach
the
us
norm,
that we're actually experiencing life. Like, that's
Yeah.
all you have to tell me, like, whether it's in preschool or in grade 7 or whatever. Then, like, everyone would be doing that, and everyone would be like, yeah, that's normal, you know? But then all of a sudden you walk down the street, don't high-five someone, someone's like, oh, what's wrong with you?
what's wrong with you,
And they
buddy?
actually ask
Yeah.
you, and then all of a sudden you're having a conversation with someone random. Anyway, this is utopian talk. This isn't
but
real
it's
right
like
now.
in the country, you'll be driving along the highway and everyone's like, hey,
Yeah.
And then you go to the city, everyone's like,
I know, tell me about it.
it's
Yeah.
completely different. It's funny,
we might take a quick break and we'll be back in a sec. Anyway, I suppose we were talking about this kind of this future utopia, the thing that we could be living right now, and it's like interesting. This isn't just to do with mental health and, like, you know, because these are all the building blocks that kind of make up this thing. It's like, you know, the environment and all this kind of thing, and it's like the government's responsibility to kind of create a society that is like this is the reason that it is the way that it is, which is there's so many other factors, but I suppose a lot of it starts with kind of creating discussions around how it can be different, I suppose. And
I think as well, like job satisfaction or even life satisfaction is we can't all be doing everything that we want to be doing. Like, it's just not going to work like that. The world won't go around. So it's trying to take control of as many things as possible and make them as enjoyable as possible, because not everyone's going to enjoy going to work every day. There's days where I'm like, I don't feel like going.
and
but
you work for yourself. Like, you have
and
a
I
job
work
that
for myself, which is
fulfilling.
supposed to be the dream and fulfilling, and it is. But then there's we all have days. So it's then, you know, like we were saying before, like making sure you make time to meet up with friends or do activities that you enjoy doing, and actually doing it rather than saying, oh, I'll get around to it. Because that's what I'm guilty of. Is like, I'll take a trip or I'll do this, and you never book it, and then 3 months later you're like, I said I was going to do that in March, and it never happened. So it's, I think, you know, taking responsibility for all those other factors in your life. If, you know, you're not happy with where you're at, or if you're not willing to change a job, or if you're not willing to make a big change, it's like start putting some work into the little things that can make life more fulfilling.
But also realizing that you can actually, like, regardless of your life situation, and like this is, you know, interesting to say for us, given that we are quite privileged and blessed, but it's like regardless of your life situation, even if you are working a job that you don't love and you don't have the optimal friends right now and your diet isn't perfect, like it's not like, oh, when I get to that spot, I'll be happy. It's like realizing that you can actually be really happy and fulfilled now, and then you get to work on that to move forward to a goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that, like a lot of people think that it's like, if you don't have that dream thing, then you can't, there's no way you can be happy. But it's actually, you need to find happiness now and then move forward with that happiness. And that's when all these things are going to like fall into place, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's Tony Robbins who's like, here's a quote, growth is happiness. Or
Well, we have a fulfillment podcast where we talk about, it's essentially that, I think.
Yeah. So it's like finding what area do you want to grow.
Yeah.
It's like, it's going to be challenges. There's going to be frustration moments. It's not always going to be enjoyable, but like the fact that you're doing something or you're bettering yourself in some way is exciting.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You get to experience all those emotions. It's not always the good and the bad. Enjoy them both because they make each other better or worse. It's just feeling emotion and understanding what it means to you.
Yeah, and I think a lot of men, 100%, don't really know where their values lie as well. They don't really know what makes them tick, which I guess comes back to that whole getting to know yourself.
Yeah.
Because for me, when I did my psychology, that's when I really started to like understand a little more about myself because they made me question myself. And that was something like through that degree, I just never understood why they never taught us that in school.
Yeah.
Like, there should be some sort of psychology or something to do with just understanding yourself.
Yeah.
And communication. Like there's nothing to do like English. There should be communication in there. Like doing a speech is great, but you know, they never teach you how to communicate and be effective. And it's ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely the biggest challenge I think for most people to kind of take that step into like meaningful living or valued living.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked your idea that you said earlier on of how you're actually documenting basically everything that you're doing, so you actually have an understanding of what potentially could be making you feel that way.
It's even on if you reach my phone, there's on my screensavers my like top 6 core values. So I have them say they're health, happiness, integrity, appreciation, adventure, and growth.
Nice. That's great. It's like where you see it all the time.
Yeah. So knowing that, it's like those are the things that I need in my life right now. Like obviously that's going to change as, you know, you go through different stages in your life. But one of the biggest things for me, the hardest one to accept was appreciation. Like when I was playing sport and I was doing really well at that, I hate the light being on me. Like I feel really uncomfortable and awkward, but then at the same time I needed it. Like, and if I wasn't getting appreciation or recognition, that's when I would go do shit to get it in different ways. Like if I had a girlfriend and she was ignoring me or because of my own stuff, because I wasn't communicating well or whatever, I'd be like, right, well, she's not recognizing me or appreciating me. Maybe she will. And I would go do stuff like that. And I deep down, I don't believe any man is evil or woman is evil. I think it's just we don't know, like you were saying, what we value, what our needs are at any given point in our life. So, you know, there can be 2 ways to get recognition. There can be good and bad ways to get health, right? There's good and bad for everything. And often we do the negative because it's easier. Like it avoids confrontation, it avoids communication, it avoids doing the stuff that we're not taught to do.
And we're unguided. So it's just like, we're not even actively doing something to negatively impact someone. We're just kind of taking actions because we're just clueless kind of apes. We're like, I guess this would do this, you know?
Yeah.
And then you wake up the next day being like, damn it.
I feel bad and I don't know why.
And it's that same, and then you self-medicate or you hang around people who make you feel better because they, you know, validate that kind of behavior, which I think is massive for men. Like, and we touched on this earlier, but it's just that there's really poor culture.
For sure.
And to be fair, actually, so when I lived in France, it was a huge culture shock. So my first game, when we played rugby here, it'd be like beers, burgers, and that whole culture. Our first game, we're driving back from Paris. They'd popped the champagne, had a cheese board, and I was just like, what is this? Like, this is crazy. And then the way they talk to each other, they've got it right. Like I 100% love the French culture for that. Like people think they've got it wrong, but they respect each other. They don't talk down on it. You know how our banter is like...
belittling each
other. Belittling each other.
Yeah.
And we'll pay each other, our mates out in front of each other and pick on them for a bit of a
Which
laugh.
can be a positive thing, depending on how...
It probably toughens your skin a little bit, maybe. But I mean, probably not as effective.
But, like when a few of the boys came out from France and saw how we were acting 4 years ago, they were like, how can you speak to your mates that way? That's terrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, fair call. Like, but it's just we just do it.
Mm.
So I think, you know, changing the culture is massive.
And especially, I suppose, in the Australian culture, it's like, yeah, drinking like beers and cigarettes. You're talking about self-medication. I think that's you know, that's the go-to, because that's the legal drugs, I suppose, that's available to us. It's like, I feel bad, and I suppose this is available, so I'll go and buy beer, which is like the alcohol is literally the worst thing for you ever. Like, it's so horrible.
Yeah,
messes with your hormones and health and everything. Like,
yeah,
it's a poison.
Yeah,
anyway.
It's literally poison.
It's literally poison. Yeah.
But again, it's like, it's the easiest accessible, and like, yeah, may as well like go and get it, because we can, and we feel bad, and we don't know how else to address it, basically.
And that really frustrates me as well. Like, I don't used to drink a lot. I don't drink too much now. I might have like a beer or so every now and then. But when you go out and you see people self-medicating, and like in Brisbane where we hang out, like I've spoken to a lot of these people, and I've had good conversations. I know what they're going through, and you've allowed them to start facilitating change, but then you see everyone back in that pack mentality. And you're like, you guys are faking it right now. Like, you're not dealing with what you want to deal with, and this is going to continue until one of you step away and go, fuck it. Like, I'm sick of living like this. And unfortunately, like, a lot of people aren't strong-willed enough to do that. I feel fortunate.
Or self-aware enough.
Yeah. And you see it time and time again, and even last night, there's people who say, I started making change, but then I went back because, you know, I felt isolated, I felt lonely. But it's like, you got to be strong enough to make that change if you really want that better life. It's like, you're going to have to walk alone. Like, you guys probably have left friends behind and felt lonely at times, but where you are right now, you're probably so happy you made that change.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, it's really hard to
cut those definitely really hard.
Kind of thing. So.
And I guess it's like a form of relapse if you then go back to that same kind of group, the same environment, the same way of acting, I guess. But yeah, I guess that's probably the hardest thing, isn't it? To try to like get away without feeling isolated. And because like sometimes I notice that like there'll be friends that you don't want to have them as your like main inspiration for your growth, but you still may want to hold on to them as friends.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just a way of trying to like distance yourself, but still have them there as such. Not like your main, I guess, inspiration for anything as such.
But that goes back to what we were talking about before, in that you can have those friends where you just go and have a bit of a shit talk with and chill out, play video games, whatever, and it's still fulfilling, but you have to balance that with like the things that are actually kind of important as well.
For sure.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you work one-on-one with male clients mostly, is that right?
Yeah, one-on-one. So I only work with 10 people at a time, just because I like to relax it. Yeah, it just gets overwhelming, as you know. It can be tiring on the brain, but like at the moment I'm facilitating it. I work out of Newstead, so in Brisbane, at a facility called Functional, because it has, you know, an incredible restoration zone. And to me, using hot cold therapy, meditation, like even doing long stretching. So we use like a program called ROMWOD, or doing some yoga, just to start educating people about a holistic approach to health. Because if you can combine all of that, like they're already in the gym, so they'll do that. But then you can show them these other aspects of things that I've never tried. So the ice bath for me is incredible, because you get to see people freak out. Like, it's incredible. So, and you tell them, but they're never going to really experience that until they plunge into this cold pool, and then they go, get me out, and it feels like you're on fire. But then you can start coaching them through this process of learning to control your breath, learning to control your mind, because you are in control. And you can then relate that back to life. Like, I had a guy in there yesterday, and all he wanted to do was talk, and I was like, mate, shut up. We're here to breathe, meditate, and get prepared for the day. I was like, you're just trying to take your mind off the task that you're trying to achieve right now, and you're probably doing that in other aspects of your life. And he was like, yeah, fair, cool. So it's like, we always try to find ways to distract ourselves from doing what we actually need to be doing at this point in time. And that can be being alone with your thoughts, and I think we're going to speak about soon with float tanks. Or like meditation. A lot of people go, I don't meditate, I don't like being alone in my head. I'm like, you might be ready for it, but at some point, if you want to, you know, reach true fulfillment or balance or happiness or whatever it is, like, you got to learn to deal with what's going on up there, because we've suppressed stuff since as long as you can remember. So,
but yeah, and a lot of people, and you know, for myself as well, like, have a resistance to meditation because you don't know what it is, you don't know how to do it, you don't know why you're doing it, you don't think you need it, and all these kinds of things. But what it really comes down to, a really simple way that I kind of like think about it, is it's the same as like if you're going to the gym, you're like lifting weights, it's an exercise. You're doing something to strengthen a particular thing. And while that's all good and well, like you wouldn't have your body without your mind, you know? So it's like you need to actually exercise your mind before you even worry about going to the gym at all with your body, you know what I mean? And so that's all it is, just 10 minutes a day rather than going to the gym for an hour and a half or whatever it is, of an exercise to just observe your thoughts.
Definitely.
Because we are not our thoughts. Thoughts just pop into our head and we go, that's my thought.
Yeah.
And I'm that person. But it's like, a lot of them aren't useful.
It's even prepping for the day, like going back to the gym, it's like you warm up before you go into an exercise, but most people hit the snooze button, race out of bed, grab a coffee, and they're at work, or they're dealing with kids or whatever it is, so they're constantly stressed from the moment they wake up. But I try to teach people to get up a little bit earlier, have some form of morning routine. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's facilitating you to start the day well, and it's like set your intentions for what you want to achieve for the day, because the day is literally like going into the gym, hitting some bench press. Like you don't just go in cold and try and lift 100 kilos. It's going to be injury and it's not going to work out well. Same with the day. Like if you don't prep, like I know when I don't do my morning routine, I'll go through the day and feel all over the shop. Like I walk around with a diary all the time because it's got what I need to be doing, what my intentions are, like gratitude, all this stuff that has got me primed for the day. But I feel, you know, when I wasn't doing as well in my life, or I wasn't as focused or happy, I was never doing that. I was just like, see what happens after lunch. Or it's like, and people want to get a hold of me or try and catch up or whatever. It's like my time's so scheduled. Like you got to, like next week's already done. You'll fit in the week after.
Yeah, this comes back to the kind of just walking around blind type thing.
Yeah.
So just kind of people don't actually write down what it is they want to do, the steps that it might take to get there, and what you want to feel and how you're going to get there. A lot of people, and look, I'm totally guilty of it. I do it on the daily as well. You're just kind of walking around and before you realize, you're like, oh, what am I actually doing right now? And what am I trying to achieve? And what is that, you know? And sometimes you just fall into this negative behavior and you're actually achieving something that's the opposite of what you want to achieve, but you're not even self-aware and you're just kind of doing it. Like,
and you can't even schedule time in to do nothing. Like,
I would say it's really important.
I would say rather than just like going through that and doing nothing, it's like schedule time where you want to watch a TV show and or just whatever. Like I think
balance.
Yeah,
for sure. We spoke about an episode we haven't released, but it's about social media and mental health. And one thing that we both mentioned is that it's really important to have a break from social media as a whole. So in that time that you're away from your phone, maybe like have your phone on mute away from you. And that could be a good time to meditate or to be with your thoughts or whatever. Because again, it's just your neurons are constantly firing. Like your thoughts are constantly coming in. If you got your phone, you're distracted. You're never able to just take a moment and be present in the moment as such. So I definitely think a break's important, crucial.
Do you find when you do that you become more creative?
I think so, for sure. Because there's definitely a lot of toxic energy that I will even put on myself looking at other people as such. Like if I see someone doing better than me or whatever, it's just natural for you to feel like, oh, come on, I'm putting in the work, what's happening? But then I think it goes back to the whole gratitude thing, thinking like, okay, well, I don't know their situation. They may not actually be connected with friends. At least I have great friends. I'm, thankful for what's going on. So, sometimes it really is important to just take a step back. Otherwise, it's just overwhelming.
So you mentioned the word toxic there. I did want to hit on this, and then we can wrap it up.
Okay.
Something that's huge right now in culture and global, I would say more often in America, like I find I read about it more than I actually experience it, is toxic masculinity as such. Do you want to comment on that? What do you think that is all about, and what do you think that's is happening there?
I think I actually downloaded a book yesterday. I think it was called About the Boys or Boys Being Boys or something. And it's about, the whole book's about that, and it's from a female author, and I wouldn't say it upset me, but to me it was just like, it painted men in such a poor way, like a way that obviously, I've still grown up fairly sheltered, like in Toowoomba, Gundawindi, and then Brisbane. Like I haven't seen a heap of bad shit from men, and I've been fortunate to hang around like men doing great things. So to me, when I hear about that, I'm like, I don't fully understand it. I can, like, you read about it on the news and obviously hear all these stories, and then there's that Gillette ad. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Oh, Gillette.
Yeah. So you're seeing all, and the way it's been depicted, and I think there is a problem, and it's toxic, but I also don't want to see it swing too much the other way where we lose, a sense of identity, because there's a great book called Into the Wild, which is about masculinity, and it's like about getting out and doing, you know, manly things, which might be, you know, back in the day it was hunting, gathering. Like, we all have roles. So if we go too much away from that, it'd be interesting to see the ripple effects. Like, I find it hard to comment because I haven't experienced any toxic masculinity as such, but I guess, you know, not being able to talk about who you are or what you're going through, like, I've seen aggression come across because men can't talk about who they are or what they're going through. So the easiest way is, you know, obviously their partner, which is sad. So I think starting to deal with that and tackle that, I think is toxic. I'd love to hear your thoughts because, yeah, I don't feel.
So I mean, what I think it is like, honestly, it's like we shouldn't pigeonhole men into this situation. It's toxic humanity.
Yeah.
You know? There's toxic people and there's not toxic people.
Yeah.
And there's good people that have toxic behavior sometimes, but then I suppose toxic masculinity is when you like get into a fight and someone gets really hurt.
Yeah.
But then the opposite of that toxic femininity, you might say, is like, you know, bitching about someone on the internet can cause this same amount of like mental harm to something, you know? So it's like, again, it's a cultural problem, I think, is like there's just a lot of negative things that lead people to become people or even just take particular actions out of jealousy or hurt or whatever. They just don't have their own sense of identity and passions and that kind of thing. But it's interesting that it is kind of pigeonholed into the man kind of space because it definitely exists. But I think the Gillette ad is a very, like, you know, it's this a representation of how our society is saying, oh, men are doing all these horrible things. Look at them. It's like, no, there's a couple of them for sure, but like you can't identify everyone. It's the same as like racism and everything. It's like, oh, all of this race is like this. And it's like, that's just something that people are telling us to keep us all separate so we can't actually overcome the government and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It gets political now, doesn't it?
Yeah. It definitely is like some sort of societal problem where they've kind of, like I said, pigeonholed us into a role as such, and men are expected to kind of act in a certain way, and you even see that through the education system, and even after, like, it's just kind of expected that men act in a particular way because of whatever perception these people have about how men should act. So yeah, I guess like you said, it's just the fact that if you're not talking about it, and then you've got a totalizing mentality where you think that this is kind of the finite answer. Yeah. And then if you can't express yourself, then you may turn to violence against your partner or against a friend or whatever it may be. And it's almost just suppressing, really. You're just suppressing your true feelings because you feel these pressures maybe from society or whatever to act a certain way. And if you don't act that way, then you're not following what's expected of you as such.
And it could also impact people who are starting to have feelings like that, and then they see something like Gillette and they go, shit, maybe I am a toxic person. So it's sort of, you know, making them start thinking like that, and then obviously your beliefs start changing and you start becoming, as opposed to, you know, having something where it's like, well, why am I feeling like this? Like, questioning, communication, like I never took the time to ask why I was feeling this way, what was, you know, validating that, right? What other things could counter that? I'd always just be like, that, like you said, it's first thought, let's grab it, hold on to it, and then you'll see an ad or a commercial or someone talking about it and it just validates it rather than trying to do your own validation. It's like people hear stuff all the time and then it's on the rumour mill, but it's like, did you actually research to see whether that was legit or are you just...
the
just
headline
spitting?
effect. Someone will read a headline and go, oh, I heard this. It's like, did you look at that?
Is it a credible source?
That's it.
Tutor advocate? What was it?
I do that myself as well, though. And it's funny because there's so much like fake news. And you'll read something and go, I heard this. And then, when someone questions you, you're like, oh, yeah, you're right. Look into
I haven't actually looked into it.
I just saw a headline. But it's interesting because, like, in terms of masculinity and femininity, like, we need those things and we need to go into and embrace those things. Like the gym, for example. I'm not saying you have to go to the gym to be a man, but like you have to understand what masculinity is to you and you have to go into that thing. Yeah. And this is why we have these two polar opposite things. Otherwise we'd all just be genderless people and we wouldn't need those things. They're obviously there for a reason and we need them for a reason. Yeah. You know, and that, like this whole identity politics thing with Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you've...
Oh man, yeah. I'm going to see him. He's coming to Brisbane.
Really?
Yeah, on the 18th. He sold out on the 17th, but then he comes on the 28th.
It's like his third time to Australia in in a year or something. It's crazy.
He's on fire.
But yeah, I mean, like, you know, there's a lot of talk about trying to make, you know, like men and women, they're not different, they're the same and all this kind of thing. It's like, no, we are fundamentally different. Yeah. And because of this masculinity and this femininity, it just so happens that some people take it too far and bomb buildings and things like that. All right, so look, we've had a wonderful conversation so
It's
far.
been incredible.
In terms of actionable content, we always kind of like to wrap it up with that. You've said a few things like what you put on your phone there and just writing things down and documenting things. But in terms of actionable content for males specifically or anyone, like what would you say to the person that's maybe in a rut out there that doesn't know how to get out of it?
I would take some time to, like, if you don't feel comfortable sitting alone and addressing your thoughts, my first thing would be identifying, how you would like to see yourself in 10 years, right? And that is with no limitations. Like, if you want to be Brad Pitt, be Brad Pitt. Like, but then the work starts. So I've got my 10-year vision of who I want to be, family, how I want to present myself. Then you can start going, right, in order to do this, I need to start hanging out with these people. I need to potentially learn this skill, study this, do that. And then it sort of gives you the roadmap to start doing that. Not saying that you're going to end up there, but it starts facilitating that change. And what happens in the process is the growth. You get to meet new people, and that's where it begins. Because I think it is literally, or come along to one of the Man That Can events. Just connect with people and set that intention for where you want your life to go. It's take responsibility.
It's a scary thing to do, but I guess it's important. It's awesome.
Well, you know how your life's going to turn out if you don't take responsibility. It's going to be exactly how it is now.
That's it, yeah.
Right? Maybe a few changes, but if you start taking responsibility, you can give yourself a better chance of changing it.
Yeah, I like that. It reminds me of there's a technique within counselling called the miracle question, where you ask a client, someone who potentially has hit a roadblock, they have no idea how to envision any sort of positive future, and you just say to them, okay, so imagine you wake up tomorrow, you have 0 problems, everything's fine, you're rated a 10, you're feeling fantastic, tell us how that would look. So then it allows them to actually process what a 10 would feel like, because they may never have felt a 10, or they've always been at a 3 or a 4, and you're kind of starting that thought process. You're starting them in the cogs are turning, and they're going, actually, I value that, I would prefer to do that, and it finally kind of gives them some sort of insight into them, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. All right, where can people find you, Lockie?
LockieStewartCoaching.net, also Instagram. That's probably what I'm most active on, which is at Lachlan Stuart.
Yeah, you're live streaming pretty much every day.
Yeah, every day. So I'll do one after this as well.
Awesome.
They're my most active things. Yeah, and the manthatcan.com. No, manthatcanproject.com.
And for people in Brisbane specifically, how often does that happen?
We're going to be doing that monthly.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'll release the date. I've got to just chat to a few of the guys tomorrow, and then we'll release the next date over the weekend.
Let's try and hit that up, Dan.
Yeah,
definitely, man.
Come along, boys.
Yeah,
It'd be
for sure.
awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, man.
Nice,
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.